And we don't really have a slide deck for today. So just some conversation for you. We do want to start with a little bit of an update on the grant status, actually both of them, because as you may recall, there are two Recce grants supporting this project. Um, and then NBI, as you saw in the email, would like to talk folks through the potential publication of the Resilience IBC appendix that they worked so hard to put together. So, Kevin, you want to give an update on Recce 1? Anything to share?
We are currently hopefully wrapping up the contract negotiation process. Is that the right term, Leslie? Contract negotiation? I don't even know what to call this. The continuation application, restart.
Yeah, whatever.
Contract, I don't know. We've submitted, there's three sort of sets of materials we have to submit. Our contract to the SOPO is one, and then the second's the budget, and the third one is the RTES checklist, which is the new set of documents just showing we're in compliance with federal contracting rules and regulations. So all of that is in. It's been in for 2 weeks now, and we've just yesterday or 2 days ago got back a final version, I think the final version of our SOPO contract. So I think that's a good sign. We're trying to do a 7-1 start, and it would allow us to work through the end of 2028 ideally. So I think yeah, I'm personally feeling a little optimistic that I think we can actually start on 7-1. And we've heard that ours is the first, our Recce 1 grant is the first one going through this restart process. So we don't have too much insight into how things are working, because our contacts are also trying to figure out how things are working with some of the new constraints or with all the staffing reductions across DOE. So that's the update from a contracting perspective, but feeling pretty optimistic about it right now.
Yeah. And so if we do manage to land that 7-1 start date, because things had slowed down with not being able to access the grant for the last year, we moved these meetings to every other month. So we won't be meeting in June. We do have a meeting in July, which is great because hopefully that'll be the start of the grant. And if that does happen, or the restart of the grant, then we'll move these back to once a month. DOE has encouraged us all in our kind of reframing of these grants to front load as much as possible. So that's kind of what Kevin was alluding to with through the end of 2028, is that's the second phase of this project. And there is a lot of work that's going to get done. So the core team did an in-person convening the end of April, and we're starting to work through a revised detailed project management plan to kind of, just make sure all the partners are on the same page and we're clear who's doing what and making sure it's all coordinated. So we'll continue working on that through the summer. But it's going to start moving fast, and there's going to be a lot of work done. So it's pretty exciting. And then for some of you may recall, when we applied for the Recce 1 grant, we did not get the full amount we requested. So we pulled out a workforce development component. And then I applied in the second round of Recce. And so we've got another grant that is specific to workforce development. A lot of that we're completely rescoping that right now. A lot of the work is going to be, in fact, almost entirely, the work's going to be coordinated by SWEEP. So Christy here is going to be kind of taking a lot of the lead on that. But I think it's going to be really exciting for everyone. We are piloting a circuit rider program in the state. So direct support to building departments We're still kind of tweaking the details of what that's going to look like. An extensive energy code related training, both aimed at building departments, at the industry, at trades, connecting in HERS raters to kind of help with understanding like how code compliance relates to energy efficiency. And it's also linked to another Recce grant that is going to be completing another residential field study. So looking at just exactly where in our home construction are the biggest gaps in energy efficiency and how we can better improve that. So more details to come, but I think it's going to be really, really beneficial to a lot of people. I'm really excited about it. Um, so that's the update there. So Kevin, Ben, this is now your guys' show.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, so I think the main topic, as you all saw in the email that Leslie sent out, thank you for sending it out, Leslie. The email outlined our request here at MBI to see if we can publish this draft Southwest appendix to the IBC, and I want to emphasize the word draft there, and distribute it to the collaborative as a work product of the collaborative. There's a few reasons we want to publish the IBC appendix, and hopefully you had a chance to look through the attachment that was in Leslie's email that went out on Monday, this Monday, the 18th. The appendix is what we pulled together after funding had paused and we had done, over a year and a half of tag meetings and other convenings with various stakeholders and the core team and you all, the steering committee. So we have a lot of information pulled together, and we tried to take a first step at drafting an appendix just to the IBC. The 2024 IBC is how it's framed. So we want to try to publish this for a few reasons, even though it is a draft, and this is not at all the final work product that we're envisioning, especially if funding resumes. As Leslie mentioned, we have a lot of work to do, and we have really, I think, the core team has really realized that we need more than just an appendix to the IBC and IRC to really accomplish some of the bigger resilience goals that touch on zoning codes and other local ordinances beyond just IBC and building department authority. So we've recognized that there is a broad set of objectives that we're attempting to address in this collaborative, but the sort of first work product that we were able to pull out of the tag, and with limited resources as funding was paused, Greg Kinkle at Quest and NBI, me, Ben, Tristan Grant here at NBI, and I think we had some help from the Nature Conservancy, from the University of Arizona and the Institute for Energy Solutions there. We pulled together this document, and it's a set of 20 measures, and I can pull it up and screen share if we want to actually look at the content. Let me know if you want me to do that, Leslie. But I first wanted to just ask if we should, if I just wanted to get some feedback from you all, if we could understand if it's okay if we go ahead and publish this, and what you would like to see as next steps as we either refine this or expand this into the next phase of the project and really go beyond just an appendix to the IBC. So before I open the floor, I see Ben, you've raised your hand. I just wanted to indicate why we want to publish this now. So with the funding resuming, hopefully on July 1st, the DOE under the current administration has a very different set of priorities compared to the Biden administration and the original intent, I think, of the Recce FOA. I think things have changed quite a bit, and they've even had us write some standard boilerplate into our contract, our SOPO, that outlines prioritizing first costs and safeguarding consumer choice. So we have rescoped the project. I think we actually have a lot of flexibility there to work on resilience, but we're realizing that words like resilience and even codes are kind of on the list of like the canceled list, the list of words we can't use with DOE, and we've had to sort of scrub them from our contract, which we've, I think, found ways to work around to still support the goals of the collaborative. But we want to just get this original appendix, which is titled a Regional Resilience Code, out and published prior to the restarting of the contract, right? While we're out of the contracting phase right now, I think we maybe have a little more freedom to get this up and at least have it living somewhere on either the collaborative's website, NBI's website, wherever we can put it up, just so that it can be a resource available to people, and just to make sure that it doesn't get erased essentially from the with the new DOE set of priorities. So that's the intent. And as I've been saying, we're definitely recognizing that it's a draft, so we don't want anyone to think that it's the final product. And we'd really like to hear back from the jurisdictions concerning potential changes, refinements. We are going to add a few sections, but I'll stop there and open the floor. Ben, did you have something to add? Saw your hand go
I
up.
was just going to be like, we'll make it very clear when we publish it that it is a draft. It is not a finalized document. It is a draft, and there's ongoing work around finalizing this.
Definitely. Yeah, I think I can pull it up and we can look through the summary page if you want. And I can also just speak to the point that we realized that the scope was fairly limited when working with a draft of the 2024 IBC. And in a way that's good, it allows us to focus on building specific measures. In a way, it presented some challenges. We couldn't address everything that we want to in this collaborative, especially things that touch on zoning or water conservation outside of the energy code, that the IECC chapter of the IBC. So I think one of the most valuable things, though, that came out of drafting this appendix, and something I would like to see refined, was just, it was great to just get the chance to take existing resources, that like measures that we have in the IGCC, in other model code texts that expand beyond just what's in the IBC and the IECC, and really try to pull all of that into an appendix and write the code measures in a way that they could be adopted by a building department and enforced as measures in the IBC, within scope of the IBC. So that was a useful exercise, thinking through how we need to reshape things from existing resources like the IGCC, and a lot of resources that we gain from the TAG convenings, pulling that all into IBC language.
All right. So I think clearly this is going to be a quiet group today, but really we do want some input from you all. Kevin, why don't you pull it up and screen share, just so if folks haven't had a chance to look through it, they can see it. But let's maybe flip this around. And does anyone on the call have concerns about this being published as a product of the collaborative and posted online?
No issue over here.
No concerns from me either.
Anyone else want to weigh in?
I have a question as a building official for our jurisdiction, or deputy building official. Would the members of the collaborative, I'd be worried that this would be viewed as our jurisdiction's support of this document when I haven't run it up the chain. is how are we addressing that area? Is it just the name of the participants, the co-authors of the study? Is that name on it, or is it the whole collaborative, like with our jurisdictions attributed to the document?
Kevin, you want to, I mean, my understanding is we're just using the name of the collaborative. And as you've noted here, I mean, the authors are really NBI and with Greg's support. And we would not be identifying specific jurisdictions in the document. Is that correct? But the jurisdictions are identified on the collaborative website.
Yeah. We didn't want to attribute it to any jurisdiction just to avoid the confusion. We don't want people thinking that it's been adopted by a jurisdiction or that in its current model form that it is fully supported by any jurisdiction. We know that local amendments will need to take place. So, yeah, that's why we had just really attributed it to NBI and Quest. Greg committed a lot of his time to helping develop this.
So
we can
Kevin,
also, yeah, sorry, Leslie, I meant to mention too, we had one round of feedback, which is great. It's been, we appreciate all the volunteer time that we've gotten while funding has been paused. But the first piece of feedback we got was to really clarify that it is a user's, or that it's intended as a menu of options. So we're going to add a kind of user's guide, like a 1 to 2 page summary at the front of this document and outline how it's intended to be used. And so we can make very clear in that intro that this has not been adopted by any jurisdiction, and that, maybe we can have some language around how it's intended as a model and with local amendments process and adoption process following, just to make it clear that this isn't being advertised as something that's in full form, in its current form with no amendments, something that's going to be adopted by all the participating jurisdictions.
thank you. That was what I was going to ask, if we could put some clarifying language in there to make it clear that this is a model. It has not been adopted. It's a resource if local jurisdictions want to adopt it, whether they're part of the collaborative or not. Mark, does that help with your concerns?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. As certainly, I'm encouraged to hear this is a rough draft. As I did a quick read through, without reading or researching, I should say, a lot of the different points in here, I found a lot of direct code conflicts and for some we'll call it unintended consequences, like fire safety, and some other things. And I just want to like have the opportunity at a later time to, or whenever it's appropriate, to kind of discuss like some of the details in here that might make it more palatable to be able to get through. Because certainly the code adoption process, the whatever document, if we want to offer an appendix, it would go before the International Code Council, and they would debate all the recommendations as far as how they mesh with the other existing codes, and it usually is a pretty thorough vetting process. So not only from advocates but from opponents and proponents and just industry neutral parties that want to make sure that whatever we adopt into the code doesn't have unintended consequences.
Yeah, of course. We at NBI are definitely familiar with the proposal process for the model codes, the national model codes, and I think some of the other folks on the call here could help us with that. We also have ICC on the team. So we have some folks on there. Is it the government regulations team, technically, that Chris and Stella and Ryan Kolker are on? But I think now is the time to get feedback about any potential code conflicts. We did try to evaluate everything from the IGCC, and it does take a pretty substantial amount of work to comb through the IBC and other relevant codes, even the IPC and all the other I codes, making sure that what we're pulling in from the IGCC doesn't lead to any unintended consequences. It's also intended to be a resource, I think, at least under the first iteration of our contract with DOE and ICC. It was intended to be published as a resource. So we were thinking that specific measures could be further refined and then pulled into the code proposal process for the 2027 out of the 2030 ICC. And we know that the scope of that is changing with the board of directors' recent scope and intent statement. So how it feeds into the model, the national model code as a regional resilience appendix is an issue. We've also, I think, realized that having it published as an ICC resource is valuable just to have local adoptions of some of these measures. And again, it's not intended to be adopted wholesale. So we're not saying that you either adopt all of these measures or none of them. So we're trying to present a menu of options, sort of the best in practice, best in class proposals for the Southwest, and helping make the model code more Southwest specific. The draft here, you're seeing the table of contents, and you can see we've got 20, it ended up being 21 measures plus an earth and materials section, which is left unnumbered. For commercial, this is the IBC, right? So it only applies to commercial, and we still need to sort out how we can make some of those earth and materials work for some commercial types. It's easier to apply those to residential building types. But yeah, I think after this meeting and over the next month or two, if we're trying to get a draft of this published by July 1st, it would be great to get some feedback from steering committee members. So Leslie, maybe we can figure out in the core team meeting how to coordinate that, but we've sent over this. I know that this is the version we've sent over, and we can polish up any of the measures if we get concrete feedback about potential code conflicts or things that might make it more region specific. Things along those lines would be great.
So I think, Kevin, what will be most helpful is we figure out, a very specific ask, and identify how you want to get input. I think we've got about a month time to do that. I know folks are busy. Hopefully things will slow down a little bit in the summer heat, but we can give them some time. And Greg, I think you had some ideas about a format for soliciting input that would be easiest for the steering committee members to use.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what we had come to on the conclusion for that, but yeah, I think we could get it in a centralized location where people can make comments in there and add into it.
I don't think we came to a conclusion. I just think you had ideas. and then things got in the way with the reboot. So, okay. So Kevin, I'd say let's all of us, well, you, Ben, Tristan, Greg, I kind of talk through and let's make this a structured approach so it's easiest for everybody.
Okay, yeah, we can do a shared document, or I'm willing to take in emails as well if we want to send out an email with our contact or an email address and the dates that we need feedback by, and then just an attachment, and I can manage merging the feedback all into one document if we want to do that way.
What'd be the timeline? It'd be a pretty quick turnaround, right?
Yeah. Do we have another steering committee scheduled? We've gone to every other month. Do we have one scheduled before July 1st?
No, the next one is in July.
We can't use that as the deadline for getting things back to us. So I don't know.
We could just
talk to it.
yeah, we can just set a deadline. I don't think talking through it in a steering committee meeting is really the optimal way to get input. So I think
Yeah.
just getting an email out and a specific ask and clear instructions on how you want input would be best, and people can do it in their own time. Right. Anything else, Kevin, Ben, you want to cover? Or are we going to make this a short meeting?
I guess sorry. Go for it, Susie.
I have a question. So just to confirm, the document that you all sent over will have another deadline to contribute some comments to, correct? The regional resilience code?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, does anyone else have questions, thoughts, concerns? Boy, we have a quiet bunch today. Okay. Well, I believe we're going to make this a short meeting. So please do plan on attending in July if you can. Like I said, we've got a lot of work we're going to be starting up. There's additional research that's been added to the scope of this project. There's a lot of things we're going to be working through, and pretty extensive outreach and engagement again. Like I said, the whole workforce development piece. So things are going to be a little fast and furious starting in July. So looking forward to things picking back up. And I want to re-emphasize how much appreciation I have for the core team for continuing to keep this moving for a year without access to the grant. Major kudos to everyone who's volunteered time, donated funding, and just we've gotten a couple small grant. You know, the team's just been amazing, and it really does speak to the value of this project, and I think the benefit we'll all see at the end of the day. So anything else for the good of the order, or we'll call this basically a half an hour, and we'll see you in July. And we'll get the email out with instructions on commenting on the appendix. All right.
Sounds good. Thanks, Lisa. Leslie.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Leslie.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Leslie, I'll send you an email with thoughts on how to coordinate the
Okay.
feedback. And then will you have time to send out that email? Or would you
Yeah.
like me to?
If you can give me something specific, I would definitely suggest talking to Greg. And because he's familiar with a lot of the local jurisdictions and how they go through this process. So what format they're familiar with for trying to get input, because they're doing the same thing in reverse. They're getting input from others. So he probably has some really good thoughts about like how they go about it and how we structure it. But yeah, I can definitely get it out. I think it tends to get noticed easier when it comes from me.
Yeah, I think so. And Greg's out for 2 weeks I think he's going up to British Columbia family vacation, which is nice. So maybe I can try